Mexican security forces have arrested an alleged cartel leader. Jose Antonio Yepes Ortiz, commonly known as El Maro, was arrested in the central state of Guanajuato, along with 5 other people. One woman who had been kidnapped was also rescued during this operation.
The kingpin has fallen. In a high-stakes operation, military forces have arrested Don Pedro, the ruthless leader of the Santa Rosa Cartel, one of Mexico's most feared criminal organizations. This is more than just a headline. It's a blow to a cartel that has terrorized communities, fueled corruption, and dominated the illegal drug trade for years. Don Pedro, infamous for his brutal tactics and near-mythical ability to evade authorities, held immense power in regions like Guanajuato. His cartel thrived on violence, extortion, and fuel theft, leaving devastation in its wake. But after years of cat-and-mouse games, authorities finally closed in on the elusive leader. So, how did the military pull off this daring arrest? What challenges did they face, and what comes next for the Santa Rosa Cartel? Let's step into the operation, the fallout, and the ripple effects of taking down a kingpin. Don Pedro, whose real name is Pedro López Jiménez, rose from a small-time enforcer to become the notorious leader of the Santa Rosa Cartel. Emerging in the early 2010s, the cartel started as a local criminal group in Guanajuato, but quickly expanded under Pedro's leadership. Known for their violent control of illegal fuel theft, commonly called huachicolero, the Santa Rosa Cartel became a dominant force, challenging larger organizations like the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, CJNG. Pedro's ruthless tactics earned him infamy. Under his command, kidnappings, extortion, and brutal executions became tools to instill fear and control. Entire communities were terrorized into submission, while law enforcement faced violent retaliation whenever they attempted to intervene. Authorities struggled to arrest him for years due to his network of informants, fortified safe houses, and widespread corruption. The cartel's influence spread like wildfire, particularly in Guanajuato, turning it into one of Mexico's most violent regions. The Santa Rosa Cartel's wealth from fuel theft and drug trafficking funded weapons and bribes, making them nearly untouchable. Don Pedro became a symbol of defiance against the state, taunting law enforcement and evading capture multiple times. But as authorities intensified their pursuit, the walls began to close in. Years of investigations, intelligence gathering, and military efforts finally set the stage for his downfall. The arrest of Don Pedro marks a critical turning point in Mexico's fight against organized crime. But how exactly did they catch him? Let's break down the operation that brought the kingpin to his knees. The arrest of Don Pedro was the result of an intense multi-agency operation that combined the efforts of the Mexican military, federal police, and intelligence units. After years of failed attempts, authorities finally broke through Pedro's elaborate network of informants and safe houses, thanks to months of surveillance, intercepted communications, and undercover intelligence. The operation culminated in the early hours of last Tuesday in a rural area outside Celaya, Guanajuato, a known stronghold for the Santa Rosa Cartel. Intelligence pinpointed a fortified safe house where Pedro had been hiding for weeks, surrounded by heavily armed guards. Authorities moved quickly to avoid a leak, conducting a coordinated raid under the cover of darkness to maximize the element of surprise. This wasn't an easy task. For over 3 years, Don Pedro had evaded capture, relying on a sophisticated system of lookouts, corrupt officials, and strategic moves between safe houses. His trusted informants would often alert him to police or military presence, allowing him to escape moments before raids. These tactics earned him a reputation as being nearly untouchable, intensifying the challenges for law enforcement. When military forces breached the compound, they encountered immediate resistance. Armed cartel members engaged in a firefight, but but the military, prepared for violence, overwhelmed them within minutes. Reports indicate that 2 cartel gunmen were killed in the clash, while several others surrendered. Miraculously, no injuries were reported among military personnel. The arrest of Don Pedro was captured on camera, showing the once untouchable kingpin being escorted out in handcuffs, his face concealed, but his body language revealing defeat. In an official statement, Defense Secretary Luis Crescencio Sandoval praised the operation's precision, calling it a major victory against organized crime and a message to cartels that their reign of terror will not go unchallenged. The successful capture of Don Pedro marks a critical breakthrough, but it came with immense effort and sacrifice. Now, the focus shifts to what happens next, both for the Santa Rosa Cartel and the communities they've long terrorized. The arrest of Don Pedro sent immediate shockwaves through the Santa Rosa Cartel and the communities under its control. Within hours of the operation, reports of retaliatory violence began to surface in Guanajuato. Cartel gunmen set fire to vehicles, blocked major highways, and launched attacks on local businesses believed to have ties to law enforcement. Such violent outbursts are not unprecedented. History shows that leadership arrests often provoke chaos as cartels flex their strength to intimidate authorities and rivals. Similar incidents occurred after the arrests of other kingpins, like the backlash following Joaquin El Chapo Guzman's capture. The fall of Don Pedro has also created a power vacuum within the Santa Rosa Cartel. As is often the case when a leader is removed, infighting among rival factions is likely to erupt as key lieutenants jockey for control. Pedro's once iron-fisted rule kept the cartel unified, but without his leadership, splinter groups may emerge, weakening the cartel or even driving it into a violent internal conflict. Meanwhile, rival organizations, particularly the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, CJNG, longtime enemies of the Santa Rosa Cartel, are poised to exploit this vulnerability and expand their influence. For local communities, the immediate reaction is mixed. On one hand, residents may feel a sense of relief, knowing that the feared leader is behind bars, signaling a possible end to his reign of terror. However, experience shows that removing a cartel boss often brings short-term instability rather than peace. Power struggles and retaliation can lead to an uptick in violence, leaving innocent civilians caught in the crossfire. Experts caution that the fight is far from over. While Don Pedro's arrest is a major symbolic victory, cartels have proven resilient. The underlying systems of corruption, poverty, and weak law enforcement that allow such organizations to thrive remain in place. Until these deeper issues are addressed, the cycle of violence may persist. The military may have struck a blow to the Santa Rosa Cartel, but the true challenge lies in restoring safety and stability to the region. For now, the question remains: who will rise to fill the void left by Don Pedro? The arrest of Don Pedro marks a turning point in the fight against organized crime. But as we've seen, the ripple effects are far from over. Will this bring long-term peace to the regions terrorized by the Santa Rosa Cartel? Or will it spark more violence as power shifts hands? Only time will tell. What do you think? Will cartels weaken after major arrests like this? Or are these victories just short-lived? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video and want to stay updated on the latest developments in global crime and justice, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. And be sure to hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.